All right, we are live, and today we are doing a unboxing of the XURetro. Uh, I don't know if for sure if it's XURetro. It could be an acronym. It could be XU, and that means something. But this is a Chinese handheld, and I know "shu" is a word in Chinese, so I'm just gonna assume it means "shoe." But I tried looking it up. Since it doesn't have any accent marks, I have no idea what it means. The only use of shoe that doesn't have an accent mark is clover. So I don't think this means clover retro, although that would be a very cute name if it was. So let me see. We got a minute before people start coming in, I think. Adjust my chat a bit. All right. So this is the XU20 V32. Now, at first, I was confused about what the V32 meant. I thought version 32, and then I remembered, wait, Ambernick does these numbers to represent the size of the screen. So 32 is 3.2-inch screen, and the V is vertical. Vertical 32. So it's XU20 vertical 32. 32 inches. The 20 part is because this is the second version, quote unquote. The original XU, the XU10 looks nothing like this, and it had analog sticks. So this isn't really an improved sequel version or anything. It's just, it's the next one. But yeah, so XU20 V32. And this was made by XURetro and sent to me by XURetro. They did not sponsor this. They did not send me the device for free. I paid for it entirely out of my own pocket, 43 bucks and then 10 bucks for shipping. And then interestingly, XURetro manufactures their stuff through Magic X. That is Magic X's logo, I believe. So I asked people on Reddit what was their general opinion of XURetro, and they said they use Magic X as a manufacturer, confirmed here. And other than that, people don't seem to have much of an opinion on them. Their previous two devices don't have Wi-Fi and are incredibly, incredibly budget. But I like budget, so here we are. So the box came wrapped up in bubble wrap, and it's in okay condition. It does look like it took a little bit of a bang here, but it looks like it's fine. So let's see. We have the Orpal version and no SD card. Now, what I really do like about this company is that they give me the option to buy the system without a card in it. If you're going to ship your systems with garbage cards anyway, you should at least give me the option to pay less money to not have a card with it at all and let me install the content on it myself, because I am capable. Or I guess we'll find out if I'm capable today. So let's check out the back. Well, we got the side here. Side there. My first thought is that this device looks like a alternate universe version of the RG35XX. The back says the model name. The system is 64-bit Android system, which is what's interesting about this, is that this is an Android system for 43 bucks. That's probably the cheapest Android retro handheld that I've seen. It is not going to have a lot more power than any other system using the same chipset because of how cheap the chipset is. What the main benefit of it being on Android is the familiarity of using an Android operating system, but also the improved sleep functions. Android systems sleep way better than Linux-based. 3.2-inch IPS full view, 768p, 4:3 ratio, average temperature 35 to 40 Celsius. Uses the all-winner Cortex A53 A133P 1.8G. This is a chipset that has been used in a lot of devices. A lot of the non-Ambernick devices use the all-winner. So this is a pretty familiar chipset. So despite being on Android, it is going to be around the same quality as most Linux-based handhelds. GPU, DDR4 2 gigabit 1866 megahertz RAM. That's okay. You usually want more RAM when you're dealing with an Android system, but 2 gigabytes is fine. 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Now, this makes it pretty competitive with the RG35XX. The RG35XX doesn't actually have Wi-Fi on its $40 model. This makes it much better than that for the same price, just by having that Wi-Fi. The vibration motor, it does have vibration motor support. I don't know what that means. It's not specifying it. Touchscreen, it has a touchscreen. Another crazy thing about this handheld is that it actually has a touchscreen for this price. And it is oleophobic, which means it hates oil and fingerprints. So it should be hard to fingerprint it. Works on the Aurora launcher, which is a subversion of the Dawn branch. I'm not super familiar with Aurora or Dawn. External speaker is a single mono speaker, but it's in the front. 3200 milliamp per hour battery, which is okay. 5 to 7 hours of battery life, that's okay. I'm mostly wanting to see if the sleep function is as good as other Android devices, because if so, this may be my main device. Supports TF card expansion up to 512 gigabytes, way more than you'll ever need. I think no one's going to use more than 128 gigabytes. Weighs 160 grams, and I'm not going to bother with the measurements because that doesn't really mean much to most people. They want comparisons. So let's go ahead and open this up. All right. Am I live? I hope I'm live. Let's find out. It really sucked to have to repeat all that. Yes, I am live. Okay. Good. Live. Okay. All right. So we got this little foam insert. This comes with all of them. It's just to protect the screen. And then it has an additional screen protector. Now, what I really like about this series is the colors. The colors are excellent. Like, this is a deep purple. This is a really good purple. Like, when I compare it to the RG35XX, you'll see that they're entirely different classes of purple. This is a deep, dark, good-looking purple. And in some lights, it even looks pink, which is why I got it. Because it has this, like, the shell is, like, a really good color, and it shifts based on the lighting really well. Go ahead and open this up. Got the handheld here. We got a charging cable. I don't know the wattage or the voltage of this charger, so I have no idea if it's a fast charger or a 5 volt. I'm guessing it's 5 volt. Lol, you're not a mod over here. I can change that. Give me just a second. I haven't streamed over here much, so I haven't bothered setting up mods. Add as moderator. There you go. No, I need to have mods in the chat in case something happens. All right. And then we got free paper. Woo, free paper. Want to hear about new... Okay. The way it's typed up here, it is not an acronym. So it is the actual Chinese word shi. But again, no accent mark. So the only Chinese word that I saw that doesn't have an accent mark and is shi would be clover. So is this company called XURetro? Or I'm probably looking too much into it. Cute name if so. Okay, the plastic is glued into the box, so we are done with the box. Pretty average box. This is very similar to Ambernex boxes. Now, interestingly, other Magic X devices and I think other XU devices, sorry, Shi devices also have additional branding from other companies on it, like Ampone. That is not present on this. Wonder why some have Ampone on them. All right, so here's the handheld itself. Look at that. On the camera, it's got like a really pink color, but I'm telling you, in person, it's actually more of like a grape color, like a purple grape. But on camera, it looks almost pink. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a really good transparent shell. It's got this weird like fringe at the top. Like, it's hard to describe. It's kind of like a car spoiler. Like, there's a ridge here, and then there's a gap in the ridge. And there's no reason to have it here. It's just for looks. It's a... And then it does it here at the bottom, too. It's kind of... what's the word? It's kind of futury. It kind of looks futury. Like, it's trying to go for, like, a futuristic kind of look. So, the select and start buttons are, like, one pill cut in half, which is perfectly fine. It's soft and quiet. There is no sound coming from the clicks at all. Yeah, you can't even hear that on the microphone. It's not even being picked up. It's very soft. The face buttons have like a snappy clickiness. Like, I saw another YouTuber who thought these were for sure dome switches. They're not dome switches. They're rubber membrane, and you can see the rubber membrane if you get a good look at the lighting. You can see that it's a rubber membrane, but it has like a very deliberate clickiness to it. Like, if the rubber membrane must be like harder than usual because it's got a very serious click to it. Also, pretty quiet. Yep, does not get picked up by the mic. The D-pad, it's a little hard. I think it's using a similarly tough rubber membrane. And I'm so used to my D-pad on my RG Cube, where it's just this one big disc, and this kind of feels like a one solid unit piece because it is. But it's not really on the same level as like an Anbernic D-pad. Anbernic makes really good D-pads. So may as well just start comparing it now because I've got it next to me. But this is the RG35XX. This is also purple. This is supposed to be purple. And it is not a very good purple because it is too transparent. That's why I was saying I like this one so much, because this one's thickness, like, it's a darker color, but also it's more influenced by the lighting. This is purple. It does not look purple. Now, let's feel the D-pads. The D-pad is much softer and easier to manipulate on the 35XX. This one is a little harder. Be perfectly good for Pokemon, though. Your Anbernic is neon green. That's cool. This one does have a green option as well. It's more of a teal, though. And some lightings, like, the cool thing about the shells for this one is that all of them kind of have that, like, lighting effect, where it's, like, pearlescent, where it changes colors on the lighting. The shoulder buttons are different. So future models of the 35XX actually have similar triggers to these, because people didn't like these triggers here. And so people on Etsy created these ones with like a raised bumper, and they were called the better bumpers or better triggers or something like that. And then Anbernic started incorporating them into all the 35X line devices. So this one does not have it because this is an original. So these are both the same price right now. So this is the 35XX. It is $40 on Anbernic right now on a sale. And this is $43 and is equally... it's about on par in terms of ability. But this one runs on Android and has Wi-Fi. This runs on Linux and does not have Wi-Fi. So this is like instantly just an upgrade. It's crazy what you can get for $40 nowadays. But at the same time, everything is more expensive. The Yeah, Ambernick's D-pads and buttons are much softer and easier to press. This is a little hard. This is going to take some breaking in, or potentially you can get some replacement membranes that feel better. If it's an Android, you can run Pokemon MMO on it. That sounds cool. I've never played Pokemon MMO. Let's see. Let's see how the SD card sits, because the SD card on the 35XX original does not sit flush with the shell. It actually sticks out quite a bit. See? You can see my finger snagging on it, because it doesn't sit fully flush. But if I... Let's see if they took the time to make sure that the SD cards sit flush. That's upside down. Yep, sits flush. Exact fit. And actually the card sits in pretty deep as well, so you're not going to accidentally pop it out or anything. So I like the triggers, that the triggers are raised and at an upward angle, so your finger like naturally like grips there. Hard to show you like that, but like slightly raised. It makes pressing it easier with the fingertip, and you can press the other shoulders with the lower part of, like the lower to middle part of your index fingers. Mono speakers at the very front right here. It's a very tiny speaker, but at least it's at the front. A lot of Ambernick handhelds have down-firing speakers nowadays. Like the RG Cube XX, down-firing speakers. This makes them less loud. Being front-firing, you can hear it better. But also, because this is trying to look like a Game Boy, it's got its mono speaker location at the bottom right, like an actual DMG. I'd probably like it. I don't know. I'm kind of worn out on Pokemon. But since the mono speaker's down here to try and look like a DMG, it actually gets covered up quite a bit by your thumb when you're playing. This is in the center, where it blasts right at you and is not obstructed by your fingers. Then I think this is the home button. It sits flush with the system. It's slightly raised, like very slightly. And select and start, of course. It's not super quiet. It's not as quiet as the RG Cube XX is. But I think you could probably still play with someone sleeping next to you just fine, especially if you got the fan on. The power button is in a very interesting place. The power button is on the back of the device at the top left corner, right here. And then the G button, I believe, is for macros. We'll check in the paperwork in a second. This area right here has got some holes drilled into it, and this is so that the CPU can breathe. People have said that this is not good enough. People who got this device earlier than me, people who got review copies and stuff like that. It is not very big, but it does... I'll take some drill holes over no drill holes. But it does help a bit, but it does still get warm. We've got DC connection down here for charging. And then we've got OTG connection here for data transfer, so you don't have to plug your SD card into your computer if you don't want to, other than the initial setup. 3.5mm jack at the top instead of at the bottom. Some people like it at the top, some people prefer it at the bottom. I think I prefer it at the bottom because it's less travel to the cord and the cord doesn't drape over the screen. But it does get in the way of some people's hands if you put it at the bottom. So at the top is not too bad. Personally, I play my games on mute. Hey, look at that. It freestands. The 35XX freestands, but at an angle. Pokemon Super Gold 97 is a great ROM hack. It's made to play as if Super World 1997 demo of Pokemon Gold was feature complete. It's a really fun time and feels close to a legit Pokemon game. The back of the device has got some texture on it, personally, like, I don't like this. I would like it if it was perfectly smooth so I could put a sticker on here. Because the holes here, I can't put a sticker here without affecting the cooling speed or whatever, so I'd have to get some tiny stickers to put on here. It's textured on the back here. It is not textured on the back for the RG Cube. It's very shallow texture. So already I like this more than the 35XX. I think this is like a 35XX with some modifications to make it slightly better. The one thing that bothers me the most about it is the bezel. You can't really see it because the screen isn't on yet, but just look at how thick that bezel is. That is a massive bezel. This has no bezel. Or a very thin bezel at the top. A very thin, almost no bezel. But this has a very large bezel. But it's not that much bigger than the Switch's bezel. It's just, it looks bigger because it's a smaller handheld. So let's do some size comparisons real quick. 35XX to start. It is about the same size. I wouldn't call the 35XX a one-handed device because it's hard to reach that A button. This is also hard to play one-handed. You'd have to have big hands for one-handed play on this. So I'd say it's probably bigger than the Miyoo Mini Plus. That's easier. Playing it with right hand, one-handed is easier. And then thickness, it is a little thicker, but the top is thinner. Yeah, it's a little thicker, just slightly. I'd say like half of a centimeter thicker. Oh, I like the sound of the triggers. Very ASMR-like. And it is much smaller than the RG Cube XX. The 35XX fits in my pocket. This will also fit in my pocket because it's just slightly smaller. Now, it's definitely not going to be smaller. It's definitely not going to be smaller than the 28XX. But it's shorter. I like the rounded edges here. I like that the rounded edges are consistent across the bottom here. It makes it easier for me to reach with my thumbs. This, I've got the corner poking into my thumb here, which won't make a big difference, but long term it might. This, there's no collision with the console and my thumbs. Rests gently on top. Alright, so let's check out this oleophobic screen. Supposedly fingerprint free. I can still see a fingerprint on it, but it's a little harder to see. Oh, actually, that's that's pretty crazy good. Like, no smudge. No smudge. That's pretty cool. Let's see. This one's tempered glass, so this one should be the same. No smudge. Alright, RG Cube XX. It's not visible on the camera, but I can definitely see it. This is a very good screen. Well, at least it's very good in terms of being oleophobic. Wow. Oleophobic in 2025? I can't believe you. For shame. Alright, free word paper. Alright, let's see. This stuff is mostly not relevant until I actually get the stuff downloaded and on there. It does say a CPU mode switching, which sounds interesting. I think that means like a power mode. The RG Cube XX can do a power mode as well, depending on which operating system you have on it. I have Nully on it, and it lets me underclock it in order to use less battery power, which is a pretty cool feature if all you play is Game Boy Advance. Alright, let's see. 2.2 CPU mode. There are 3 locations to switch CPU modes: global, platform, and game. Game CPU settings override platform, and platform overrides global. Does not specify anything else other than that. It has a screen scraper built into its operating system. Let's just get the... Let's install that so that we can see what that's about. So, there is a... While I'm doing this, there is a big no-no that this company did. And that's that they took indie games and included it on the original SD card, which is another reason why I didn't get the SD card for this, because pirating Nintendo, I couldn't give a I couldn't give a care. I couldn't give a care at all. I don't care at all what you do when it comes to Nintendo or Sony or any of those big companies. But indie game companies, indie game developers, they're just like you and me. They're just they're making games to survive so that they don't have to work at Walmart or McDonald's. They're living the dream, and we shouldn't be stealing from them. But if you get the version with the SD card on it, it comes with Balatro installed, and it comes with Hollow Knight installed. And I bought both of those games multiple times, so I'd have no problem using it. My conscience is clear. But if you get it, I'd get it without the SD card so that you're not, you know, stealing from an indie dev. Again, these handhelds are made to pirate, so, like, it's not surprising that the Chinese company, where their sense of IP law is weaker, and they're also a company designing pirating handhelds, pirated a game. Not surprising. But I don't think you should be doing it. But that's a question of morality. Alright. Let's get this set up. Wrong side. We actually can't charge it until it's got an... Oop, that's backwards. We can't actually charge it until it's got an operating system on it, because it won't be able to identify that something's plugged in. So, I actually have no idea if it's charged or not. And then we gotta bring up... We gotta go to their site. XURetro. Thankfully, they only have 3 products, so it's very easy to find the software. Flashing the SD card requires a full format, which will result in loss of all existing data. Okay, so we gotta find the one for the right size card. We're using a 32 gig. Now, you're supposed to be able to install Android 10 on this, and I might try that, but I don't know how good it's going to be. It does have Wi-Fi, so like I could use it like an Android phone, and it does have a touchscreen. I don't think that keyboard's going to be very fun to use, though, with how small the screen is. But it'd be funny to be able to watch some YouTube videos and stuff on this. Alright, so that's installed, and then we need Rufus. Oh, maybe I should be showing this on screen. There we go. Okay. So, to find it, I just went to XURetro, shipping policy, help software, went down here, clicked stock firmware, and then it took me to their GitHub, and then I downloaded the 32 gigabyte image.xz. That's still downloading. It's still stuck. Then I opened up Rufus, and we're waiting for You can close that. We're waiting for it to finish downloading. It is that last percent. That last percent's taking a minute. Well, I see it in my files. It's just showing us not done for some reason, but I have it right here. Now, do I need to unzip it? Some of them have you unzip it, some of them don't. Only need to use common burning tools like Rufus. If you use Rufus, there's no need to decompress the file. Okay. Super easy then. This stuff used to be way harder. So we want that. This is our card. Thankfully, Rufus is smart enough to not let us format large drives. If it's like a terabyte, it goes, oh, okay, that's for a computer. We're not messing with that. Disk or ISO. Select the image file. We want 32G.xc and then start. All data will be destroyed. Yep, that's fine. We want to do that. And then now it's going to write it, and that's going to take a minute. Now, while we wait for that, let's Google how to install Android 10. Shut up, Google AI. How do I get you to go away? I can't. Get Android 10 and Android Studio. Okay, this looks like a project for later. We'll do that later. Oh, now it's finally done. Okay. So writing is going to take a while. So if y'all want to chat, ask me any questions or talk and stuff like that, we can do that. Because it's going to take a few minutes to write this. Once it's done writing, all we're going to do is just pop the SD card into the handheld, and then it'll build the SD card, and we can, you know, get to putting some stuff on there. So we got to write this, pop it out, pop it into the handheld, then pop it out of the handheld when it's done, and then we can put our games on it. Or we can just set that up on the secondary card that I have here. So you don't need really big cards, but I do suggest that you do a dual boot system. You want one card for your operating system, and then you want one card for your games. And I think unless you're playing a bunch of PS1, a bunch of Dreamcast, I don't think you're going to need bigger than a 32 gigabyte card. Once you get into the area that you're playing a lot of PS1 or a lot of Dreamcast, then you're probably going to need, like, you know, a 64 gigabyte card. At the most, I don't think most people need more than 128 gigabytes. You don't need to install every single game out there onto your little handheld. So don't spend more than you're actually going to use. So 32 gigabyte internal for the not, yeah, I guess it would still be considered internal. 32 gigabyte for the internal, and then 32 gigabyte for the external. 30%. The waiting. But, oh, let's talk about the shipping process, what that was like. So I ordered this on the 22nd of last month, which I think was the same day that the page was available for public. I ordered it immediately, and it took 2 days before they finally shipped it, and they said it takes... we do it within 48 hours. It took the full 2 days to ship it. And then from there, it took an additional 12 days to arrive. Now, it didn't have a normal tracking page where you go onto the website and you see your orders and you click tracking and you can follow the tracking from the website. No, it had me download an app to check the shipping. I hate that. I don't want to download an app just to check my shipping status, because on that app, they just advertise a bunch of crap at me. They advertise a bunch of other things. So I'd show you, but the camera I use to record is the camera that is the phone that I have for that. But it's an app called Shop, and it's simple enough to use, but I shouldn't have to download an app just to track a package. That should just be built into your site. It's it's about being professional. You should have a tracker embedded into your site. So I had to download the app, and then I had to sign up for the app, and then I had to put in my information, connect it to the account, and then it started showing the package in there. And then it shows it through the shipping company 4PX that it was being done through. And it ended up being delivered within the U.S. by DHL, which is a Chinese-focused shipping company. And it took 12 days to arrive after being shipped out, so 14 days total, which is pretty normal for these kinds of things for like Chinese handhelds and stuff like that. Anything from China is typically 2 weeks. It was faster than Japan, honestly. I had an order from Japan that took almost an entire month, and that was the Wonder Swan. I actually forgot that I ordered it by the time that it arrived, but it took a whole month for that to arrive. So I'm glad that it was only 2 weeks, but there's got to be a faster way to do this stuff. Like, if it's by plane, it like, and I don't think they offered a faster shipping option. I don't remember. Maybe I didn't click it because I didn't want to spend more, but I'm telling you, I am not big on waiting 2 weeks to receive something like that. Like, you gotta like ship these units out early to sellers in America so that they can put it on Amazon, so that Americans can get it quicker. It's just like I'll pay extra to receive it sooner. I don't have a problem paying 10, $20 extra to get it within 2 days. But like, it was $10 shipping for 2 weeks wait. And that sucks. But I do like that they offered an option where I don't have to buy an SD card, and they save me, and they take $5 off the top for me, so I don't have to buy because I'm not buying the SD card. Wow, this is taking a long time to write. It does not take this long to write Linux-based operating systems. Dang. I probably should have done this process while I was talking about the handheld. Oh, it's going faster now. Hmm. So I plugged in the power cord earlier, and the light didn't come on. So I'm really sure we do need an operating system in order to even charge this. And I have no idea if it came with a charge on it at all. I don't know how battery shipping works when it's cross-country, cross-planet. I am really impressed by that screen. Okay, I do see a streak on it now from where I touched it, but like I have to like rotate the screen so that the reflections kick in and I can see it break the reflection. It's very nice. It's a very odd handheld. Like, it's very safe and typical in its design, but it's still just very odd looking. Like the weird shapes on it. %. Let's go back to looking at the handheld. So an issue that these handhelds came with at times of like early reviews or whatever, when you press the face buttons hard enough, it causes false positives on the triggers. Now, they did ship out fixing kits that you can open up the device, put it inside, and it'll fix the issue. Mine didn't come with one, so I'm assuming that this means that mine doesn't have that issue, but we should be able to test it and find out. So it also has 2 USB ports, and since OTG transfers data and stuff like that, it might be possible that it has video out, but I can't find any information on that, and I don't actually have a USB-C to HDMI cord as far as I know. I have a lot of different cords, but that's not a cord that I bought, I don't think. The only way I'd be able to find out is if I try to jam this into the switch dock. We're not doing that. the D-pad is very loud. I have a noise filter on my microphone, so it has to be pretty loud to get through. Notice that the RG35XX actually sits at an upward angle. It's like it doesn't rest flat because of those raised triggers there. So that's in part why some people don't like this for being in the pocket, because of these edges that poke out. But this doesn't actually poke out that much. It's got a raised shelf here. It's just slightly out, but it's consistently flat across, so it doesn't create like a sharp point in the pocket. It's like, what it feels like is XURetro looked at the RG35XX and was like, what can we do to make this better? While still making it cheap. It feels like it was made to undercut it. So they dial back on the screen, make it cheaper. They use a different kind of plastic, rounder edges. They improved the speaker placement by putting it in the middle. They remove the headphone jack from the bottom and put it at the top, where it might be more comfortable for some people. It doesn't have HDMI out, which saves on the cost. How many people are actually really using these for HDMI out, though? The improved trigger shelf. The fatter back to make it consistent and flat. The hidden power button. Holes for the exhaust. For venting. No unnecessary labels. Although I do like the XURetro logo. I would have liked to have the XURetro logo on here. It's a pretty nice looking logo. And its edges, they feel the same. The plastic quality is different, and it has this like feel like it might be kind of sharp. Like, I don't think it's gonna bother anyone because it's a smaller handheld, but it's definitely sharper than this. The home button, the menu button, it has additional buttons that the 35XX doesn't. Yeah, I really think they saw the 35XX and they were like, let's do that, but better. And they did it for the same price, too. There's not much of a tilt or anything like that because its shape is pretty consistently flat across the back. I don't think this is going to be much more pocketable than the 35XX. There's no dedicated reset button like the 35XX has. But yeah, this just feels like it's better in a lot of ways, but it's worse or the same in other ways. It's like RG35XX but different. And like the plastic quality isn't even the best on Ambernick. You can see here there's like this white speck here, that's from a drop. White speck here, that's from a drop. Crack here, that's from a screw being in too tight. So even like Ambernick's like devices, it's not like they had the best plastic quality either. And that's why I hate transparent handhelds, is because they look cheap. And I'm always worried that they are cheap because they look cheap. Like the clearer it is, the more it makes me worried that it's a thin shell. Just, yeah, it's really weird. It's like these two just copied each other. And it's interesting because I don't think anyone really is asking for this. I don't think anyone is asking for a new 35XX. I think this is probably the first device besides Retroid that wasn't an Ambernick handheld that I bought. Like, well, other than the very first one. The very first one I bought was from BitBoy, which is now known as Miu. And then I got Ambernick, and I've been using mostly Ambernick since then. I had a Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, and I didn't like that for a variety of reasons, mostly just because of comfort. And then this one is actually like the first one that I bought that isn't an Ambernick one, but this is a different class technically. It's Android. All right, it's at 99.7. Took about 15 minutes to write the whole thing. If you've ever written a CFW to a card, it's the same exact process. So I don't see why you would spend $5 to do it when you could spend $6 and get an even better card. Because I looked at their card. Their card is an unmarked card. It's a bigger card than I'd get for $5 here, but it's a lower quality card. I'm curious about the CPU mode. I wonder how good that underclocking is, and like if I'm playing this with mostly just Game Boy Advance, I wonder how good that underclocking is. 99.7%. The file size difference between the 32 gigabyte image, 64 gigabyte image, and the 128 gigabyte image is negligible. Like it's maybe just a few megabytes difference between the two. So, but between this version and the 16 gigabyte version, it's 3 times as much. So I worry that it still includes those games because there's no reason that it should be 800 megabytes bigger if it's the same operating system. Oh, it's on 99.7 for a while. I worried that it's stuck. I also just really like the colors on this one. The color is better. It's deeper, it's darker, in the right lighting, it's just brighter, more colorful. Like in person, it's very much grape colored, like purple grapes. But like under fluorescent lighting, it turns like pinkish. It's a more of a berry color, and I like that. 99.8. This purple is like the weakest, like lightest purple you could possibly get. What really would have helped is if they maybe used a different color PCB. If they used a different color main board or something, like maybe a blue one or a pink one or a purple one or something, it could bring out that dark purpley color a lot more. This one's shell is just darker and maybe thicker. I think it's probably just got more dye in it or whatever. My mom worked in a plastic factory for a while, and plastic, how it's made is pretty interesting. You've got these little tiny beads, like super tiny, like less than this, like it looked like a chunky fat piece of rice. And they're just little tiny plastic beads, and there's clear ones, and then there's some with color in them, and you mix them together and you melt them down, and that makes the plastic and colors the plastic. And then you use, injection molding and stuff like that to get it into the shape you want. Oh yeah, I also just noticed the D-pad, its edges are rounded, whereas it's like sharp on the 35. Yeah. It's sharper on the 35XX, but it's not, I wouldn't worry about it being uncomfortable. But this one's just rounded, and that's interesting. Where's the measuring tape? I was gonna check the sizes. I guess I could just hold them against each other. They look to be close to the same size. Yeah, they're the same height and width. It's just these parts, like this part here is like thicker. Just slightly thicker. The face buttons are the same size about, maybe a little bigger on the XURetro. Yeah, this is very much like, yeah, you can copy my homework, just make sure it's slightly different so they don't think you copied me. I don't know, like if you buy transparent shells because you want to be able to see the parts inside, I can see why you would like the 35XX better. Like it being clear makes it very easy to see the inside. But like if you like transparent shells because of the aesthetic, I think this is better because it mixes that solid color with partial transparency. I probably could have written this card in advance. Probably should have. Well, let's look at the colors. The other colors while we wait, so y'all can see what those other colors look like. So this is the green one. It's kind of like a teal kind of color. In some other lights, it looks greener though. This is the purple that I've got. As you can see, it's an entirely different looking purple than like what mine looks like on the camera. The blue is kind of more purpley in color when you see it on a camera. I've seen some blue ones on camera and they look more purpley. And then you got transparent black. Which, I mean, if you've got color options, I don't see why you would ever choose black. And as you can see here, you can choose to not include an SD card and save $5, which is awesome. I love that. I don't see any mention of an accelerometer, so I don't think you're going to be able to play Kirby's Tilt and Tumble or WarioWare Twisted, which would be the main reason for me to get an Android device, is just to have that accelerometer in there. Their other two devices are the XU10 and the XU Mini M. So it's weird that this is called the XU20 because the Shoe 20. And then this is called the Shoe 10 because these are two very different looking devices. This one actually looks like a better version of the Shoe 20 because it's got the analog sticks and the segmented D-pad that makes it more PlayStation-like. It doesn't say it doesn't use the code language to get across what size screen it is. The Shoe Mini M, it looks pretty good. It looks like Magic X's 028, which I guess makes sense. Same manufacturer. These are good prices though. $28 for this makes it better than one of these is strong enough to run GameCube. No, none of these are strong enough to run GameCube. Both of these ones down here are Linux-based handhelds, and currently there's no Linux-based handheld that can run GameCube. And then this one is Android-based, but it uses the all-winner CPU, which means it probably won't run GameCube. Like, to get it to run GameCube, I could probably put Dolphin on it, and then run it in a sub-native resolution, and then maybe get like 30 FPS out of it. But you're not going to want to play like that. If you want GameCube and you want it cheap, the device to get is going to be the iNeo Pocket Air Mini. That's going to be $75, and they said already that it's going to run GameCube. This is more like if you want to play N64 and Dreamcast, but better than this would. Oh, I'm pointing at these and I'm not even showing you. It's not even on camera. This being Android is going to run N64 and Dreamcast better than the 35XX would. Let's see. iNeo Pocket Air Mini. This one's going to be better for GameCube. This one is one that I am saving up for. I am waiting for them to launch the early access campaign so that I can get it. This is going to be $75 for the cheap one, and it will do GameCube and PS2. So they say. And I think this one's a really good one. I think this one comes in some awesome colors too. I like the green. I like green. It's not my favorite color, but I like green. It's a good green. Little frog looking thing. It kind of looks like the RG Cube XX, just wider. So I think I'll like it. And it uses the Helio G90T, which supposedly has pretty good compatibility with PS2. Trying to find the other colors. Was it only just those three colors? Yeah, I think so. It has the cheaper one has the same amount of RAM as this handheld does. The CPU is entirely different though. Like, there's no way that the XURetro will run GameCube. Just better in 64. Which is not something I'm really concerned with. N64 didn't run 60 FPS most of the time on original hardware. Like, people demanding 60 FPS out of like N64 are people who did not try to play Perfect Dark in co-op. Well, I think that what's contributed the most to this handheld space booming is just the price. You can get one of these handhelds for this handheld is like half the cost of a game right now. But like any one of these handhelds, like you could get and it would cost equal to or less than a modern video game. And then you have more video game options than you ever did with just, that one specific game. Like you can spend $80 on Randy Pitchford's new Borderlands game. Or you can spend $80 on an Ioneo Pocket Air Mini and be able to play some PS2, half your GameCube library, and every single game that came before that system, no problem. Like, it's the value proposition of it is just through the roof. Even if you get one that can't run N64 and Dreamcast, like if it's just PS1 and earlier, PSP and earlier, amazing. Soldier Boy Mini. I don't know if I want to get a Soldier Boy Mini. I don't think I would ever get a Soldier Boy handheld. I just don't think they'd be very good. I think at peak they'd maybe do PS1, and even then a sloppy PS1. Let's see if Rufus is done yet. 99.9. We're nearly halfway there. Another handheld that is going to be able to do some GameCube is going to be the Nimzy Air X. This one doesn't run GameCube that well, but it is well, this is also the wrong site. This is not Nimzy's site. Nimzy's site is going to be cheaper. I only really need to show you a picture, but Nimzy has their own site that you can order it from. And this one is a 16:9 handheld, which it doesn't really need to be unless you're just looking to play nothing but PSP. But this one is also 85, 90 bucks, and it's a little weaker than the Ioneo Air Mini is supposed to be. And this would run some GameCube. But I think if you want a lot of GameCube compatibility, oh, I like those. I like those Joy-Con. Uh, Crap. I might actually be a Sonic fan. I'm not. I hate Sonic. Sonic sucks. Just the ones with Chow are good. But if you really want like lots of GameCube and lots of PS2 compatibility, you need to get like a Retroid Pocket 5 or newer, maybe a Flip or whatever that other one was. Those ones are gonna have a lot more compatibility. I played Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, and I was able to play a few of my GameCube games pretty fine. Like, one of them is a Dynasty Warriors clone from the same company. So I guess not really a clone. and that one I was able to get like consistent 60 FPS out of, which if you know anything about like the Warrior series, they have tons of things going on screen at all times, so like they didn't even run 60 FPS on their own systems usually. I wonder if I actually did this right because I didn't see what I forgot, like it had specific like it's no, I think I did it right. That last 0.1% is just taking its sweet time. Owning a Soldier Boy mini just for the meme of it. Yeah, for the historical value. Leave it to Soldier Boy to bring me back to Twitter. TRDR Pocket is the company. Oh, nope. That might be copyright. We're going to go ahead and exit out of that. No link, no other products, just this one image. What's it look like? 6-button layout is a choice. I know there's some Sega Genesis fans out there. I hate the look of that D-pad. That's an aftermarket Joy-Con stick, so that's pretty normal. All of them use it. Yeah, that's an aftermarket Joy-Con stick. What is this button labeling system? X, Y, A, B, C, D. It looks like it's using an old phone shell or something like that because it's got this like cutout section here like there was going to be cameras. It looks like it might run Android. Now the D-pad's entirely different here. And the D-pad's entirely different here. And the background's different on here. Guys, I think Soldier Boy's console manufacturer might be using AI to make their consoles. Not my Soldier Boy. Yeah, it's horrible. There's just a lot wrong with it. Like, I don't have an issue with like a 6-button setup if you want it. Like I think it was the Retroid Pocket Classic that had a 6-button setup. Like you Genesis heads out there with your tournament fighters. Yeah, I'm sure y'all love the 6-button sticks. Or maybe the people who really like Xbox Original but don't want to just press LB and RB instead of white and black. How long is this supposed to take? Is it supposed to take this long? Let's just go back through it real quick to make sure I got it all. Flashing the SD card requires a full format, which will result in a loss of all existing data. You only need to use common burning tools like Rufus. If you use Rufus, there's no need to decompress the file. Please decompress the package based on the burning tools requirements. Firmware list. Yeah, I picked the right one. The 16 gig one is for the other one. Burn the static firmware corresponding to the capacity of your SD card. Yep. Pretty sure it automatically selects those. insert the SD card and boot the device. Well, I can't even get to that yet, not until it's done writing. If you have a perfectionist mindset, you can use Linux's GNOME disks tool to expand the remaining unused capacity of your card. Most of the feedback and suggestions come from Retro Handheld's community. Thanks to the community members for their help. Oh, that's nice. And then they share their source code. Ambernick doesn't even do that. Hello. If I knew it was going to take this long, I definitely would have done this before stream. It's been almost 30 minutes. I'm trying to write it to the disk. It's actively writing. I see the light flashing on the adapter. I'm starting to wonder now if I should have, splurged that extra $5 and gotten that garbage card with the operating system on it, so I at least wouldn't have had to bother messing with it. But people were saying that they were experiencing slowdowns and stuff more on the card that was included with it, and I assume that's just because it's those cheap, bad cards. So I assume it's going to run better with a A1 card. Just the waiting. So much waiting. Let me look up on my phone real quick. See if it's supposed to take this long. Oh, there it goes, 100%. It's just wrapping it up now. Devices like these are often illegally being sold in my country because the distributors don't bother with getting technical certification from local authorities. Well, luckily for us in the US, we have very loose laws around just about everything. Don't bother with getting technical certification. So, like, they're not, like, what's the word? They're, like, not up to, like, they're not willing to pay for the certification to, like, show that they're, like, operating correctly and not using, like, a bunch of electricity or something. Or that they're not dangerous or something. Because technically they're being sold illegally in the US too. Because they come with games pre-installed. And the distribution of ROMs and stuff like that is illegal. So technically they're selling illegally in the US too, but laws surrounding ROMs and stuff like that are so loose here. Like the companies that make these handhelds are worried about it too, because like Ambernick and stuff like that has started to like not include Mario and Pokemon on their ROM sets when they include them with these handhelds, because they're worried that Nintendo's going to see them and try to sue them. But it doesn't really matter. Like it's I don't know. Like I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't done anything about it already. I guess it really is. This is a well-guarded secret, I guess. Even though some of the bigger channels on that cover these things have like millions of like a million subs, so like it's not that much of a secret that these things exist. It's not like it's hard to find the companies either. You just order one and it tells you the address. Oh, speaking of that, that's another weird thing. The package had a return address to California, which is weird because this did come all the way from China. And I didn't find any information inside the packaging of where it came from in China. Yeah, that is the Magic X logo. Okay. Yeah, this Magic Mini 028 V2 looks a whole lot like the Shoe Mini M. Yeah, these are like one for one. Yeah, they are one for one actually. Are they internally any different? Linux based. Android. Okay. Oh, that's also surprising then. That's a pretty cheap Android handheld. And it's got two analog sticks and horizontal form factor. I personally don't understand why YouTubers don't use homebrew games instead. At least for PC emulation, there's the benefit of doubt where the games are pre-owned. Um, the homebrew games thing. Some YouTubers do use homebrew games. Like one I see Wolf Den and Retro Game Core using a lot is Good Boy Galaxy. But I think it's just a lot easier to find games that don't have existing companies or existing support and just use games for those. Because, like, companies like these old companies shut down all the time and they're not going to remaster their games because they don't exist as companies anymore. So it's easier to just, use one of them to test it. But, like, everyone's really big on wanting to be able to emulate PS2 and Switch right now. People really want to be able to emulate Switch on their handhelds. Which is which I like I don't get the point of it. Like, you've got the Switch already and the Switch 2 runs them better too. I know why you do it. It's because you don't want to pay for the games. I really like this handheld and I do want one of these, but it's definitely too late to bother covering one of these. Oh, it uses the same CPU as the one that I'm using, so maybe this will actually be pretty good at DS too. Same amount of RAM. Is it the same GPU as well? Yes, it is. Interesting. Okay. So this handheld will be able to handle DS just fine too. Oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that, but this handheld is also touchscreen. It has multi-touch touchscreen. So we can play our Cookin' Mama on that. Couldn't you get a DS Lite for around that price? For 71 bucks, yeah, you probably could just get a DS Lite around that price. Oh, okay. Hey, it's working. We're getting a bunch of pop-ups. Oh my god, how many how many did it create? It went all the way to O drive. Okay. L U T K S P R M N Q J F I H G. Oh man, it almost ran out of letters to try. Look at that. Look at how many drive letters it took up. Oh man. I've never seen something take up that many drive spaces on one thing. What would have happened if it hit Z? That's crazy. How fun. All right, let's go ahead and close this, and then we can go ahead and eject our card. Yeah, but a DS Lite you could get for around 80 bucks. I would just say get a 3DS, pay the little bit extra, get a 3DS, and then you've got a great 3DS and DS emulator. Let's go ahead and close that down, and then let's go ahead and pop this in and turn it on. This one is unlabeled, and this one's TF. I'm assuming the one on the left is the one with the operating system on it. Upside down. I had to clip my nails before this, I guess. There we go. See, I like their logo. They have a good logo. I would have liked to see that on the device. Not a stock SD card. This is one I'm flashing myself. Their stock SD card came with Hollow Knight on it and Balatro. And I bought those myself, but I didn't want to support that. So I didn't want to get the SD card on it. I love that this company offers an option to have a no SD card version so that I can do my own, because the SD cards that come with these are also just really garbage. Like this Ambernick one. It is a really crappy SD card. And these do not have long lives. It flew. I've had 3 of these break on me in the past, so I like to just use my own card anyway. I emulate a wide variety of handhelds. I own a lot of the stuff that I play or owned at one point. All of my Wii U games that I play are personal rips as well, because I have a hacked Wii U, so I use my own rips for those. Kioxia is pretty good. Oh, but yeah, messing up a flash will do that. All right, so here we go. We have our operating system. Looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? Looks a whole lot like that Ambernick operating system that's Linux based. Okay, that's fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Yabasan Pro, I'm pretty sure you had to pay for that normally. RetroArch. My boy, my old boy. Mupin 64 Plus, pretty sure you had to pay for that normally too. DuckStation, Drastic. Drastic isn't available anymore, I thought. Comes with a bit of charge on it already, that's good. PPSSPP. Let's see if we can... Let's take a look at the shortcut so I can figure out how to lower the brightness so y'all can actually see the screen. Temmie is super far behind. Temmie might need to refresh the stream or drag the bar all the way to the right. Select plus volume, increase and decrease screen brightness. So it has a lot of different hotkeys. It's got the G ones here, it's got this hotkey button, and then it's also got select. Alright, that's much easier for y'all to see. Okay. Now, it is touchscreen. Bam. No game library. Okay, so it did not include any games on it when I downloaded and set it up myself. No, I'm caught up. I was just commenting from before. Okay. So there's no games in it. That's good. That means we can set up our own card. So there it is. So you should just be able to just pop this right in. And then we'll give it a minute to try and set up the files. Maybe we might actually have to do it manually. Oh, device button test. We can check and see if it... Why isn't playing audio on that? There's no game running. Okay. We can... It has analog in there, but there's no analog stick. So that looks normal. That seems pretty normal, pretty okay. Now there was a problem where if you press too hard on the face buttons, it would cause false positives in the back. Pressing pretty hard, it doesn't do it. So it looks like they fixed it. That's good to know. All right. Game color settings. Nothing with cats, I see. This operating system sucks. No cats. Screen scraper. Overlay directory settings, RetroArch, drastic. We're looking for settings to hook up the second card. Pico 8 would not do great in this because it is Android based. This is not a Linux device. Pico 8 works best on Linux devices because it runs natively on Linux. On Android, it has to be emulated, which it could run it just fine, but ideally, if you're going to play Pico 8, you want to do it natively so that you can use Splore. Backup, restore, emulator. Trying to find the setting where we set up the second card. Oh, maybe it mentions it in here. Adding games, section 4. It numbers the sections, and then it doesn't actually put a number next to any of them. Adding games. Adding games to Aurora is a straightforward process. Currently offering 2 methods. Choose your preferred approach. Connect your device to a PC via Type-C cable. Okay, the ROMs folder is easy to find. Transfer via FTP, so wirelessly. Okay, so let's just assume that it correctly auto-set up this SD card. Let's see if it actually did that. Because Linux-based handhelds will automatically just set up the card when you pop it in. So let's see if it did that. Let's... Continue without scanning. Open folder. Yes, it automatically set it up. So where's the ROM section? Nope. Nope. It set up the secondary card, but it didn't set it up in a way that it would be that the first card is used. So there's no ROMs folder, which means I have to make my own. That's unfortunate. Which means I would have to manually designate each file for each one. Will WinLitter or GameHub run on this device? No. It is way too weak. This is a $43 handheld. My phone can't even run GameHub. It doesn't have enough RAM. This has 2 gigabytes of RAM. You need like 16 to use GameHub fully. Let's just try this. And then gotta go way back in the past to find my ROMs that I set up for this for testing. It definitely can't run Crisis. I didn't. Okay, I can't find the folder that I had the ROMs in. It wasn't last week, it was last month. Not with that attitude. No, I just know for a fact it can't run Crisis. Crisis didn't even run well on the systems that it came out on. Xbox Series still can't emulate the 360 version perfectly. I get crashes on it when I tried it. Just trying to find the folder. I download so many images because of video making that it's just taken forever to find it. There it is. $13 gigs? I didn't realize I had that much stuff. Alright, this is going to take a second. Alright, Luke asked something earlier, and I got sidetracked. Oh yeah, about the 3D, about the DS thing. Yeah, for $80 you could get a DS Lite and play it that way. But I don't know if you'd be able to run games from the SD card using a DS Lite. So you'd have to get a 3DS at minimum, or a 2DS at minimum. So in that case, it's still cheaper. And then some people rather just emulate because of things like oh yeah, R4 flashcards, right. Uh and I think some people want access to things like retro achievements. I don't a lot of people don't want to deal with original hardware. I have a ton of original hardware. I also hate using my original hardware. It's a pain to set everything up. Like, say you want to play the Wii, you got to pull out the Wii, you got to pull out the power cord, you got to get the sensor bar, you got to get the cables. And then you got to find the one TV in your house that actually works with the red, white, yellow cords. Even though all your other TVs have those inputs, for some reason, a lot of them just don't read old stuff like that. Or you got to buy an HDMI converter for the Wii just to be able to play it on your TV. It's just, yeah, it's like playing with original hardware can just be a lot of pain for no reason. Do Android handhelds run Fear and Hunger and other games made in those specific RPG Maker games? So I think it's possible, yes. You can get ports and put them on here, like you can with Linux handhelds. You can get ports and use Portmaster and stuff like that to take your PC games and put them on your handhelds. This, like I said, when it came out and you bought it with the card, it would come with Hollow Knight and Balatro pre-installed. So you can get PC games and put them on here. Uh, I keep all my cords and stuff like that organized so I can easily set up anything I need to. But like, also like in the case of the Wii U is an extra pain because you got to find the charger for the gamepad and then you got to get the gamepad and stuff like that out. And then, yeah, this it's cool to have all this neat stuff. It's just not convenient. In the case of my Xbox original, the conveyor belt on the inside, it's dried out, so I had to order new conveyor belts so that I can replace it so that it can actually open its disk drive. And then possibly run games after that, because I haven't had the best of luck getting it to run games after that. Alright, so let's see. I don't see retro achievements on the list here. Hopefully that's not a pain to set up. I imagine I do it individually through the other apps, like through RetroArch itself. Oh, wait. Okay, no games. Tools, we got Aurora, Calendar, Clock, Firefox. Oh, we got a browser in here. Oh, I gotta set up Wi-Fi first. Okay, let me do that off screen so y'all don't see my my Wi-Fi info. It's actually crazy using a screen this small with the touchscreen. Despite the small size of the screen, it's actually not too bad to type on this. It's pretty responsive. The rumble when you type, not too bad. I mean, it's the same width as my phone is. Yeah, it's the same screen width, so it's the keyboard's the same size as it would be on your phone if you're holding it vertically. Okay. We're connected to the Wi-Fi. It does have Bluetooth. It didn't mention that on the information. Go on to Firefox real quick. Yeah, so it does have a built-in browser. That's Firefox, what we're using right now. So we can actually go to... Oops. We can go to YouTube. It's a little slow because I'm on the opposite side of the house from my router. I direct connect everything in here normally. We have a big, like, 100-foot Ethernet cable going across the apartment. Also might not run the best just because of how small it is. So let's see. Browser gaming's possible. Possible. Viable. No. Browse TikTok for the rest of the stream. You probably totally could. Let's watch one of my shorts. Really doesn't... Oh, there we go. Shorts. It does not agree with my decision to do that. Oh, wait, it's loaded.
These things work perfect. If you just spend a couple hundred on a gaming console, your parents might want to cheap out on getting a memory card. This meant getting a third-party memory card, which was cheaper, but would
It works.
would give sometimes they were great and much larger, and other times they break super easily. I recently had a memory card fully corrupted when saving a fishing game. I didn't even like the game. That card is still usable, but now it has an undeletable block of data, just wasting space on there. Even the good cards can corrupt, and usually this was caused by the save process being interrupted. Games that
Okay, it doesn't like it. It's already getting warm. I can feel some heat coming out of the exhaust right now. I don't know what this middle button does. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's a dedicated analog switcher. I think I remember someone mentioning that. There we go. Videos, wallpapers, music, gallery, FX. Is that an editor? I hope it's not a video editor. There's no way that runs well. Settings, clock. Games are still transferring over. Settings tab takes us into some extra stuff, but see game list, clear image cache, game switcher, input test. Let's check out the theme colors. Dark emerald. I don't see a difference. Yeah, I don't see a difference. Maybe I need to be clicked in on something. Yep, I can't do anything like that because I don't have any games downloaded on it yet. Not a ton of info in the CPU performance settings. Oh, okay. It might require a reset after changing themes. I like that it's got a built-in art scraper. I don't like that I have to manually sign into retro achievements on everything. Normally something like this would have a single like retro achievements option like Daigisho. Daigisho lets you sign into retro achievements and it automatically logs you in on everything. Visual novels? Yeah, visual novels probably run perfectly fine on this. As long as they're not those visual novels that have, like, gameplay in them, like, 999 or whatever. Alright, there's about 2 gigabytes left to transfer. It's on Sonic Adventure 2 right now. Sonic Adventure 2 is something I bought way too many times. Then we'll test those. So, I'm thinking maybe we get 30 FPS on N64, maybe 50 FPS on N64. And then on Dreamcast, I'm thinking we're probably going to get similar. And then everything else is going to be just fine. Like, even even garbage phones can run PSP. But I'm gonna run Size Matters on it, and Size Matters is something that I've recently beat on PS Vita, so I know exactly how it's supposed to play. I will continue to buy Adventure 2 every time they release it. Me too, because I really want them to make another one. Give me Chow. They know we want it. And it might every time they re-release it, I buy it because I'm telling them that this is my way of saying like, hey, give me it. I bought it multiple times on GameCube. I bought it on Xbox 360 when they released on that storefront. I bought it again when I lost access to that account. I bought it on Steam so that I could run the randomizer. Yeah, why it's they're like allergic to money. I don't have my GameCube version anymore. Uh, I was dumb when I was a kid, and I sold all my GameCube games and used it to buy a DS. But I do have some GameCube games. Like I have Batten Kaitos and Mario Party 7, Sunshine. I have Donkey Konga 2 and Bongos. The Zelda Wind Waker, the Zelda collection, and I was gifted Amazing Island from a viewer from Colorado Blue. Yeah, it's small. It's not super small though. It's about the same size as the 35XX. Maybe I should compare it to a handheld that y'all actually know the size of. See, I could say the Vita, but most of you probably don't have a Vita. Oh, dang, that shit's dusty. I can't let that be on screen. PS Vita. It's small by comparison. uh, PSP. That's also dusty. Here we go. Here's one y'all know. Game Boy Advance SP. That should give you a pretty good idea how big it is. So I guess it's pretty small. Like, it's not as pocketable as the SP because the SP's thin and then it folds in on itself. But it's shorter than it. It looks like the screen width is the same, which means this running Game Boy Advance games are going to be the same size as that screen, which means it might be perfect scaling without integer scaling. So this might be Game Boy Advance machine. Pokemon Mystery Dungeons in there. Oh yeah, let's turn this on real quick. Look at how far screens have come. Like, let me... Two brightness options, on and off. That's the max brightness on that. Max brightness on that. Totally different. But this is also backlit, whereas the GB SP that I've got is an AGS001, which is front light. It looks better on camera, but in person, because this is an AGS001, it is actually really hard to play games like this because of the front light. It's hard to see things. Everything is like super washed out. Let's see. I got a bunch of other SP games. Game Boy Advance games, I mean. Here, we'll do the forbidden comparison no one knows. The Wii U. It's got a band-aid on it because I play Nintendo Land and I don't want to look at myself every time I play the octopus game. The Switch 2 is in the living room, and so is the Steam Deck. Oh, it's done transferring ROMs. Okay. We can finally play some stuff. Alright. Now, the problem is having to designate all the file locations. So we're gonna start with PSP because PSP I've got Ratchet Size Matters on there, which I recently beat, so I know what it's supposed to run like. So PSP, PPSSPP. My ex-roommate had that one. Yeah, I'd replace the screen on it, but Connie doesn't want her old systems updated. She did let me paint her Game Boy Color. I updated it with a fresh coat of gold paint, so that it looks just like her original. She had a Pikachu one with the gold paint on it. Let me see if she has it still out there. That'd be another good size comparison. There it is. That's a good size test. It's smaller than a Game Boy Color, but wider. It's thinner too. Pokemon Blue without the label. Oh, it doesn't have a battery in it. Yeah. I repainted this one myself. It was really gray and splotchy from age. So I painted it up extra nice so it looked just like it did when she was a kid. She does not play it. It's just for looks. Connie doesn't have much interest in playing old games. Alright, so we gotta load, and then we gotta choose the file location. I'm glad this has a touchscreen. This does make things easier. It's a little bit of a small screen for 16:9 games. Ratchet and Clank Size Matters runs at 30 FPS usually. So don't expect it to look, smooth and buttery. It's usually a little choppy in the beginning, that's normal. Oh, it's a little hard to hit. Okay, it's just because it wasn't... It can be a little chunky at first, and it also could be that I need to mess with the settings a bit. There we go. So that just opens up the settings right away. Okay, it is using Vulkan. It's using 1x resolution. Everything looks fine, so it looks like maybe this won't be the best for 3D games, but Ratchet and Clank games are always really hard to run. When emulating on PS2, you actually have to overclock your CPU. You actually have to overclock the PS2 CPU to 180% to get it to run at a smooth frame rate most of the time. And then there's still areas where it chugs heavily. So Ratchet and Clank is like a really extreme test. I don't expect most things to run it perfectly. And like this is 30 FPS and still had dips. So I'd say this is pretty okay. I'd consider this okay. It's not something I would play. I wouldn't play like this. Yeah, 20 FPS. No, I wouldn't consider this playable. Let's try... It's not getting hot or anything. Let's try increasing frame skip to 2. No. What about turning frame skip off? Let's turn off VSync. Yeah, this is not great. It definitely runs better on the Vita, but of course it's going to run better on Sony hardware. Yeah, I want to consider this playable. So PSP, it's going to be fine if you stick to like your RPGs and your pixel-based games. I don't think it's going to run super well on all of the 3D games, but I mean, like I said, size matters is pretty extreme. It's asking quite a bit. All right. So let's go to platform. No game library, so I probably have to designate a library in the settings. So for now, I'm just going to run it straight from the specific emulators. Next, we're going to try... And it's got some ROMs downloaded already. I did not download those. How do I close this? Okay, there. Let's go ahead and just go back and set up the file locations. That's not going to be in here. That's going to be in settings. Nope. Okay. So I need to figure out how to set up a new file location. Select game library directory. That's what I need to do. How do I add a new one? There we go. Hidden option. That's not the right. This one. Okay, so that should have done it. Did it just crash trying to exit? No, okay. No game library still. Oh, probably because I got a scan. Okay, it did not work. Maybe it has something to do with my name scheme. Yeah, it full names them. It full names some of them, but doesn't full name others. PS1 is labeled as PSX. Well, still, it should show some of them. Let's try resetting it. Super weird to have the power button on the back there. I also don't like that the power light indicator's on the back. How does that help me know when the system's on when I'm trying to turn it on from here? That's a terrible power light location. Tablet is starting. It thinks it's a tablet. No game library. Okay. We're going to do this the other way. We're going to transfer those game files into the internal card for now. Because I don't want to spend all night trying to set up the folders. This is what I was talking about on my video about Android being not beginner friendly. You're going to spend a lot of time setting up. Power light's on, but I turned the system off. Jeez, I forgot about the 20,000 folders that it opens. Right, it wanted me to connect via the OTG cable, the OTG connection. Let's just close all that. Eject this. It wants me to... Totally forgot that it wants me to connect to the handheld itself and transfer it like I'm transferring files from an Android phone. I'm just so used to using the SD card and reader. Technically, the cord is more convenient. I just don't like doing it. This is a very short cord. That's DC, not OTG. Wrong side. Very snug fitting cable. I gotta close all this shit now. Okay, if you get this handheld, never plug the SD card into your computer. Alright. So that's that. We need to turn on the system and then enable USB connection. I turned it off. There it goes. The touchscreen alone honestly makes this worth it. It's just so convenient to manage your files using a touchscreen over using a D-pad and the face buttons. It's so much easier to get through everything. Like, once it's set up, it's easy. Maybe spend the $5 to get that card with this stuff all set up. Very inconvenient otherwise. Oh, copyright Magic X. Okay, yeah, this is 100% made by Magic X. Alright, let's see if we can open up those. Okay. It shows up as a phone when connected to my computer. Now, I can take the ROMs folder, copy that, and then I can go back into the SD card that's connected to it. And then I can paste the ROMs folder here. Wait for that to copy. And then I have a copy of the folder structure as it should be on the second card. But then for now, I can also just transfer over the games list over to the main card. I'm not going to transfer over everything. There's only a specific couple of things that I want transferred for testing. They did not successfully transfer that over. Is it did it right over it? It is slow when trying to access the external SD card from inside the phone. Let's bring this back up so y'all can see this. So, when transferring to the internal card, we want to go to, like, it's, for some reason, it's built around, like, a one SD card setup. But it has two SD card slots on it. Most people who have a 2 SD card system are going to use a 2 SD card setup. It doesn't create the ROMs folder automatically on the SD card, the secondary SD card when plugged in, which is super inconvenient. But I guess you can just copy and paste the original over. Now let's see. XURetro. Search that. I'm just going to copy over a couple of things. So in 64 first. Okay, so there it is. In 64. Okay, why do I have so many games in here? Oh, is it because it's every single N64 game ever? Okay, yeah, that's why. I'm so smart. I just wanted to bring over Kirby. Where's Kirby? It's Kirby and the Crystal Shards. Okay, so what the fuck is going on here? Why did all this stuff appear in the N64 folder? All I did was drag over Kirby and the Crystal Shards. What is that noise it's making? Like, why is it doing that beeping thing? It's popping up like it's making a noise like it's doing a pop-up window. And Kirby is nowhere to be found. Okay, let's try... Okay, it's not seen as an ejectable. It's seen as a phone, so it shouldn't have a connection issue or corruption issue when I unplug it. Choose what happens. Open device to view files. Okay, there we go. Okay, I don't know what the hell was going on with it last time because it worked perfectly fine that time. Alright. I know how Kirby plays on that one. We'll bring over Spyro. I know how Spyro's supposed to play. Although, I feel like PS1 is probably going to be too easy for this. PSX. There it is. We'll bring over Spyro. So this cord is a USB-A to USB-C, so I'm assuming that this is just a 5-volt charger, which means it's not a fast charger. It shouldn't take too long to charge it, but honestly, if you're not putting fast chargers in your devices in 2025, like, maybe you shouldn't be making handhelds. Still transferring. There we go. And then for Saturn, we'll do Panzer Dragoon. Now, is it under Saturn or Sega? Oh, there it is, Saturn. Panzer Dragoon there. And the next one. DS. We gotta check out some DS. We'll do Children of Mana because when I ran it on the phone, it was chugging on the opening cutscene. And then Cooking Mama, of course, we gotta test whether Cooking Mama is viable on here. So let's go. And DS. Where is DS? Is it under DS or is it under NDS? It's probably under NDS. There it is. Children of Mana. Then Cooking Mama. And then get Sonic Adventure over on here. So Dreamcast, I remember, was listed as just straight up Dreamcast. I wish everyone could just agree on a single universal file system for their cards so that we could just use the same card across all handhelds, regardless of the operating system. So that's N64, PS1, Saturn, DS, PSP, and Dreamcast. So that's all fine. And then once this one's done transferring over, we can check out N64 and Dreamcast. And I don't expect Saturn to run well. I don't expect much out of Dreamcast either. A trick you can do with some of these is that if you're not getting like a perfect 60 FPS, you can use the PAL ROM, and the PAL ROM is going to run at 50 FPS. So you can still probably squeeze out full speed out of some of them by using the PAL ROM. It's so funny when like English people and stuff like that give you crap for like using like the imperial measurement system and using Fahrenheit instead of Celsius as if they don't have weird things themselves. Like they're the only, like, the UK is the only area that actually uses PAL. So maybe just leave us alone about being the only people using the imperial measurement system, since you're the only people that use PAL. All right, let's go back to Handheld land. So we don't need to eject it because it's not a SD card. We gotta repopulate the games list. Scan all directories. It only showed N64. So my guess is that it can't detect things that are in folders. That's exactly what it is. It can't detect things that are in folders. That is going to be a huge pain in the ass for PS1. Alright, well, let's try Kirby Crystal Shards. On-screen C buttons, in case your handheld doesn't have enough buttons to use C buttons. Okay. Immediate... Oh! That's not supposed to happen. That's not good. Let's go back. We might need to change which version of Moopin it uses. Oh, okay. It just had to include every possible version of Mupen ever. That's great. I'm sure this will be very quick and easy for me to set up. We'll eventually find one that works, I guess. That one didn't run, so it's not that one. It's not that one. That's not supposed to happen. Okay. Maybe I can just Google which one I'm supposed to use. I don't know crap about N64. It is not a system I particularly cared for. '64 plus next. That's what I was using. Okay. I saw other people playing N64 just fine on this, so they just might have that sort of thing figured out, or maybe Kirby has specific issues because of specific art styles. Says parallel is also good, but we tried parallel and that didn't work. Okay, so it's going to require more setup to get N64 working, so N64, not right now. Now we got to plug this back into my computer, and I got to remove all of those games from their folders, because apparently it can't read things that are in folders, despite Linux having no issue with that with their handhelds. So I got to go back into Nintendo DS and remove them from their folders. All right. Scan again. Yep, there it goes. It just can't read things in folders. That's really inconvenient. That's going to take me a long time to move things over. Let's start with Children of Mana. Okay, nice little skin that it's got showing up. I love me some Castlevania. Very tiny screens, not really playable. But good thing there is screen swapping options. Let's see. Oh boy, it uses touchscreen for menu interaction. We're gonna switch this. Okay, there we go. Single screen mode. So now if we want to swap screens, we can press ZL. I mean, L2. Okay, touch works. Both screens work. Instant changing. Running at full speed so far. Let's see how it handles the cutscene. Now, on the $50 phone that I did this on, it ran the cutscene at half speed. We can even fast forward this one. Couldn't do that on the phone. Still no way to skip it. I guess we'll just let that run for a second. The intense part of the cutscene isn't up yet. This is where it should be slowing down if it's going to slow down. It's when it starts panning down the tree. Looks smooth to me. So, N64 just requires a bit of setup. N64 has always been a weird system to emulate. NDS works perfectly fine. PSP will work fine on anything that isn't, like, fully 3D graphics. Or, well, specifically Ratchet and Clank, I guess. I should have put some backup stuff on there. It's perfectly smooth on my end. It might be a little less smooth on the camera because of the difference in FPS. Yep. I could not get this far on the phone version. So this 43 buck handheld is better than the $50 phone that I tried it on. So that works great. Nintendo DS works perfectly fine. The real test is Cookin' Mama. I am so ready for Cooking Mama. Let's effing go. We're gonna start with soup, something simple. Make touch with knife to slice. Okay. This is also a game that struggles on some of them. It does not run at full speed on things that struggle with Nintendo DS. We can't see the top screen without clicking off, but it works perfectly fine. No changes. We're gonna just stick with what we're cooking. Perfect. Better than Mama. Oh, this is harder. Add. What am I supposed to add? Nope. Okay. You need both screens available for Cooking Mama. You have to have both screens for Cooking Mama. But hey, it runs Cooking Mama full speed. That's just what I wanted to know. Okay, so now let's plug it back in, and I gotta take those Dreamcast files out of there. We get full speed Sonic Adventure 2, I might cry. Let's see. Do Dreamcast and Saturn while we're in here, so Dreamcast is just under Dreamcast. That's unfortunate, it's like 5 files. Hopefully it's able to identify the correct one since it decided that it can't do folders. So if you do Dreamcast on this, you might want to do you might want to compress them into a CHD file so that it's a singular file, which is going to add an extra step, but it's going to result in smaller file sizes overall, so that might be more beneficial for you anyway. It's just inconvenient is all. PS1, PSX. Like I said, I'll be surprised if Spyro doesn't run at full speed. Saturn will be surprising if we can get it to run. Saturn doesn't run great. Again, another multi-track file. Fuck whoever invented multi-track files. All my homies hate multi-track files. What was the other ones that I don't know. I think that was all I wanted to test. Saturn, Dreamcast, N64, PSP, and PS1. And then Nintendo DS. Yeah, that's everything. So now we can unplug. And then we gotta refresh the list. There we go, shows the games again. Let's start with Saturn, with Panzer Dragoon. Failed to initialize. Because it's probably a multi-track file, honestly. Let's try Dreamcast. There's 2 Sonic files to launch. Well, let's just pick one, I guess. If it doesn't work, we'll pick the other one. Okay, it launched. That's a good start. Looks normal to me so far. Oops. We of course play Hero version because we need to hear the City Trial theme.
Sigma Alpha 2 heading due south over the city. We're en route. Everything's a go. This is Control Tower. We have you on radar. Report cargo stats have captured the Hedgehog aboard. Over. That's a 10-4.
Perfect so far, no stutters. Let's get into the actual stage. Control's not mapped by default. That's awesome. You know what? It might be because it needs to have the... Yeah, that's the problem. There, it needed... Switch to... It needed D-pad as analog input. That's exactly what that middle button's for. It's got some frame dips, but this is actually really good, really playable. It's just hard to play at an angle like this. Yeah, but 3DS, that's cool. No time for guessing, follow my head instead. Yeah, it takes a minute to get used to the small screen and the angle that I'm playing on. It's a little weird playing this with a D-pad instead of an analog stick. But like, hey, if you want to get the most out of your handheld, like, this is actually pretty playable. I forgot to grab the previous one. I'm not going to get the unicorn now. I like that there's a dedicated button to switch between D-pad and analog input. Okay, yeah. Messed up the timing on that one. It's a little hard to land on the rails without an analog stick. Alright, I think that's enough. I don't need to play the entire stage. I don't need to play the entire stage to know that this is running fine. This is great. It's a little warm in the back, but its heat doesn't reach my fingers. Alright, so we can close that down. We know that works. PSX might not work right because the way I have the files set up, because it's multi-track files. That might require compressing to a CHD. Also, huge. I haven't had to put any BIOS files in. So, of course, pixel-based systems are going to run perfectly fine on this. You could run pixel-based systems on a wristwatch.
Looks like I've got some things to do.
Got to get that good nasty gonna work. Switch back to D-pad input, and yep, it works fine. Let's see something real quick. This is running from RetroArch using PCSX rearmed. If we run this on DuckStation, we might be able to increase the native resolution to 2 times native resolution, which means we would be playing on 480p. I might actually just be able to change it here. Scaling, integer scale, no. Aspect ratio, core provided. It's so hard to remember where things are in RetroArch. There's so much stuff. It's not even a little warm from Spyro. But yeah, it running PS1 was never a doubt. I mean, I have that super tiny handheld that can run PS1. Where did I put it? I don't know where I put it. But I have a handheld like this, the RG Nano. It's about that big, and it runs PS1 just fine. So, N64 is going to take some messing around. I'm going to have to take another look at Saturn when I get a chance later and fix up the files for that. Make sure everything's in an easy to read format for it. So it's got some quirks. Android usually does. I don't know why this can't read from a folder, but if you get this and you put games on it, you have to put the file in plain. It cannot be in a folder, which is super weird, because Linux is able to read from folders as well. Might have to do, like, it's just the handheld detecting the games. Like, the emulators themselves can read game files from a folder, no problem. It's just this handheld that won't populate its library if you do that. And you want the library populated because it's what makes it easiest to go around through this stuff. So, Nintendo 64, also going to require some messing around. I got to find out what the right settings are for N64 to make things run right. Dreamcast works right out of the box. PS1 out of the box, PSP out of the box, PSP. As long as you're not playing Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, you should probably be fine. Size Matters is just hard to run. And everything else is going to run just fine. Everything below that. Nintendo DS, it runs pretty well too. After I saw how it ran Ratchet Size Matters, I was really thinking that it wasn't going to do Nintendo DS too well. But it does Nintendo DS a lot better than I thought it was going to. So, right now, after I set this up, and I think after I get everything running how I want it to be, I think this is a better handheld than the 35XX. I don't think it's better for beginners, though. I would not recommend this for a beginner, unless they bought it with the card already set up. But as soon as that card fails, you're going to be screwed because you're going to have to learn how to use Android. But maybe by that time, you won't be a beginner anymore. But I think the XU20 V32 is better than the 35XX, even though it's got a smaller screen. A worse D-pad. Like, the D-pad is technically just fine, but it's a little harder to press. A lot of the stuff is set up out of the box to work right with its original operating system for this one. I like the positioning of the buttons. I like the button styles better. I like the handheld shape better. I like the size of it better. It's smaller. It's more pocketable. I like that it has a dedicated analog switcher so that you can just tap this and it puts this into analog stick mode. Some handhelds you had to press power or some other sort of combination of buttons. This, it's one singular button and it's just right there and it's super easy to activate. I like that it's got a macro button here that's easy to reach, but it also has its own set of macro buttons based off of select. So it's got multiple macro buttons, which is going to take some getting used to. I like that it runs on Android. I like that it has a touchscreen. The touchscreen is huge, honestly. Getting something for this price that has a touchscreen and being able to use it to play DS is pretty great. I'm probably not going to use this for anything else outside of Android because this isn't like a Play certified device, which means you can't get the Google Play Store on it. You would have to sideload everything that you want to run, which is kind of a pain. So I would say this is a beginner device for someone who knows what they're doing with Android, but it's not a beginner device for someone in general because there's a lot of setup and messing around with stuff. You're going to be, as usual with Android, spending a lot of time for that first week or so setting things up to work just right. Whereas RG35XX still works out of the box. Out of better deal for the price, though, 100%. This, 100%. The XU20 V32, way better $40 deal. Way better $40 deal. The system colors are better. The overall everything is better. The screen might be smaller, but like the design of the handheld itself is better. The options is better. It doesn't have HDMI out, but it might have video out. I need to test that still. I need to find me a USB-C to HDMI. It runs Dreamcast better. The 35XX does not run Dreamcast very well. So I think, buck for buck, this is better, especially since this actually has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and this does not. And since this is Android-based, that Bluetooth is actually going to support wireless earbuds if you want. Some Linux handhelds, in order to get Bluetooth to support wireless earbuds, you need to get a specific CFW. This works just normally as is. I think overall this is just the better deal for the same price. But I can't really speak to the quality without playing it a lot more. I think it's going to be great for everything the 35XX is great for, plus a couple extra things. I don't, despite it being better at Dreamcast, I probably don't recommend using this to play Dreamcast just because using a D-pad as analog input is awful. I kind of wish they just put an analog stick on it. Maybe make it just a little bit taller, but they wanted to keep it small. I like that it has the better triggers out of the box. You have to buy the Plus or the Pro version to get the better triggers for the 35XX, or you have to mod them in yourself using ones that you bought off of Etsy. I love the touchscreen, honestly. The touchscreen just makes this perfect. I don't like how big the bezels are. But I think they just had to deal with overall the size of the handheld. I'm going to have to mess with this a lot more, but I'm going to have to get a screen scraper set up because I don't think it uses screen scraper, the French site or not. I don't know. And I can never remember my login for that site. I like that it has wireless transfer. There's very little that I don't like about this handheld. I think I'm more of a horizontal person, but I think this is good. But yeah, I really, really like it. So that's going to actually do it for the stream tonight. It took forever to flash that card. I did not expect it to take that long. That was crazy. And then having like 20 different drive files show up when you use that SD card, 100% once you set up the SD card on this, just only transfer files using the cord, because it is a pain having to close that many windows. No problem. I had fun doing it. Kind of had fun doing it. There's a lot of figuring things out, but maybe now we all see why I don't recommend Android for people that are new to this stuff, because it's not easy. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.